The decision comes off the back of a renewed global interest in the case, thanks to a Netflix true crime drama and a documentary that followed the events of the original trial. Joining us now is LA-based criminal defence attorney Silva Megadichian. Silva, thanks for joining us. What is the likelihood of the brothers walking out free today?
You know what, Nerelda, I think that there is a very high chance that they will walk free. What the district attorney did today is essentially take the Menendez brothers and say that, look, they are still convicted of murder. We're not going to change that. What we are going to change is we're going to give them an opportunity to be paroled. And what that means is if the parole, after the judge okays this, if the parole board feels that these guys have rehabilitated properly, they will be immediately released after serving over 30 years in prison. So really, the district attorney kind of threw the football to the other person and said, Judge, if you think this is okay, let the parole board decide once and for all if they should be released. So essentially, he's getting rid of the life without the possibility of parole and allowing the brothers to be considered for parole.
Do we read anything into the fact that the district attorney is up for re-election? How unusual is it for a district attorney to recommend resentencing in this way?
You know, what's interesting is the LA district attorney has released about 300 convicted people in the system in the last 3 and some odd years that he's been the district attorney. But in the back of everybody's mind, I do believe this is 50%, this is the right thing to do in his mind, and absolutely 50%, I am really down in the polls. I don't know if I can get reelected. I really need this right now. It is sped up. It is abrupt. You know, he had said that he was going to make his decision later. Probably we were considering it was going to be late November, but he actually sped this up. But the one thing that is really important in addressing this is the fact that the majority of Kitty and Jose Menendez's family believe that the brothers have served enough time and should be released. So I think he really did use both in his consideration.
So what is the process now? It goes back to court. What does the court take into account when they resentence?
Absolutely. So what happens is the court is first going to take what the DA suggests. They take their recommendation seriously, and they take what the family says incredibly seriously. The victims have a voice in the court process, and then the judge will decide. And the judge could decide immediately. The judge could decide either let these guys be convicted only of the murder, give them the opportunity to parole, or the judge could take their time and see what evidence they want to look deeper into and take time to consider what they want to do. So it really depends on, you know, the judge's feelings on how the district attorney has put this forward. But I'll tell you, Nerelda, if in fact the judge thinks this is coming from a desire to re-win an election, he or she might take time in making their decision.
Does anyone want them to stay behind bars? It has been 35 years and you have the district attorney saying they've paid their debt to society and the family. Is there anyone there wanting the original sentence to be carried out?
You know, Nerelda, it's very split. I actually was there when the trial happened. I was a young girl getting extra credit for college. This case really was contentious in that the public thought some of the public believe that these brothers maliciously killed their parents with intent and don't believe the sexual abuse claims. But times have changed. We realize that sexual abuse is not just against girls. Boys feel it too. And there's so much research and mental health. There is such an evolution in our thought process that I do think there is an overwhelming switch in the public, especially in California, and really the nation and the world that's gripped everyone. The more information that comes out, the fact that a Menudo member was possibly raped by Jose Menendez, the letter that was found between one of the brothers and their cousin saying, I can't live like this anymore. He keeps on touching me. All of these have brought this to a forefront, and there needs to be fairness and there needs to be justice. And let's not forget, the district attorney said He still believes it's murder and intentional, but the boy served enough time and should be released.
Silva, how soon could they actually walk free? Would it be a case of that they are entitled to parole and they can leave the courtroom?
No. So it is a process. After the judge agrees that they can have the opportunity to parole, they will go to a parole board hearing. And from what I understand and what DA Gascon made very clear, as well as his defense attorneys, these brothers have had exceptional rehabilitative qualities while in prison. For 30 years, they have been mentors, counselors. They have done such incredible work behind bars that I would find it really incredibly unlikely that the parole board would think that these brothers, now in their 50s, should stay longer. As soon as the parole board hears the case, they could be released that day. But the parole board is the one that has to release them. But I do think it's going to be before Christmas.
If it wasn't for the Netflix series, would this case have returned to court at all?
You know what, Narelda, I do. I think it would have. Look, there is no doubt that media attention went to the forefront on this case. And honestly, I've done criminal defense now for over 17 years. There are so many people that have received harsh sentences that are really desperately awaiting their resentencing. So it sped the clock for these brothers, the fact that so many shows took interest in these brothers. But he also has a fantastic defense team who really for decades has been trying to bring this case back into court. So when you put media attention and really attorneys that were passionate about their clients, this is what happens. I just hope this really has an effect on other cases who are not as recognizable as the Menendez brothers, where there was sexual abuse, where maybe we didn't understand how this can affect people and could possibly give them a chance. And mark my words, Narelda, I do believe once the Menendez brothers come out, they might be the biggest advocates for those sex abuse victims who have been silenced and overly punished. At least I hope so.
Silva Megadichian from LA, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time.